Well, now that the Super Bowl is over, which thank God ends the 2025-2026 football season, I have some thoughts on the absurdity of football. And the absurdity of football is not a contact sport because if you touch someone, you get a foul called. In fact, you can't even look at a player wrong. So this is really a no contact sport. But what if any and all contact was actually allowed? How much worse could it get? Well, I have three things to share. First, there's the savage mentality of inflicting bodily harm regardless of the fouls. It's just a game, right? Number two, there are all the crazy rules that only men can create. Logic matters. And number three, lastly, are the post-game on-field interviews that aren't even close to being audibly discernible. I think you should hire an English coach, but I watch every game. And as I watch every game, I feel like a barbarian. This is a brutal game. The Christians and the Lions have nothing on pro football players. Every play, it seems like there's an injury. Player down and can't be revived. Player carted off the field to an undisclosed location. Player in a contorted position and has to be unraveled by a team of doctors who are probably thinking, dumb shit, who told you to do this for a living? Bring the tent to the player. And then there's the tent. If anyone touches a player and ends up dismembering them, they go to the tent. This entails things like crushing a player's helmet and causing a concussion, or no ability to walk because of hip displacement, and arm dangling from its socket, laying immobilized on the field. They scoop him up to go into this blue tent on the sidelines and get evaluated by a team of doctors. And what's in the tent, you may ask? A chair. That's it, a chair. In this sport where players make millions and a concussion could kill you, the injured get a chair. But somehow these guys have no problem getting beat up and going back for more contact in this no contact sport. For instance, TJ Watt, defensive player for the Pittsburgh Steelers, goes into the tent and comes out with a diagnosis of a partially collapsed lung. Off to the hospital and back in 2 weeks, playing with his lung strapped to his chest so he can justify his salary. When Watt comes back, the Steelers were facing off against the Baltimore Ravens in an AFC playoff game, and the Ravens' offensive line was planning on attacking TJ's lung. Imagine the plan is to attack his lung as opposed to playing football. When is it ever okay to plan on hurting a person? Yes, I guess it is a contact sport with the intention to do serious contact. In this Sunday night game, Chris Collinsworth, the color commentator, clearly sums up the situation by remarking that he's playing on guts alone. Well, I guess so if there's no functional lung. Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, had his head ripped off. He came out of the tent holding his head in his left hand, preserving his right hand, his throwing arm, which is on his throwing arm. So since this game was a playoff game, he goes to the locker room instead of the hospital, and the doctor sewed Justin's head back on and sent him to finish the game. The only weird thing was that this was the position of his head. It was sideways. It was a rush job. And then lastly, DJ Moore, a Chicago Bear playing against the Los Angeles Rams one Sunday, was sent to the tent to check on a possible concussion because he literally fell on his head in a play. He was cleared, but had a hard time getting his helmet on as his head was swollen. Seriously. Back on the field, he fell on his head again. This makes sense? I don't think so. And then number two, the crazy rules and expectations. Okay, the rules are perplexing and really sound like they were made by drunk men as they make very little sense. brains matter. For instance, in this no contact sport, we have the fairly new phenomenon called the tush push. It is what it sounds like. It's the entire offensive line of players banding together to push the person with the football forward by his butt. Now, as a woman, I ask, how is this legal? There's contact. And instead of one player being responsible for moving the ball forward, a whole bunch of guys are moving the person holding the ball forward. Doesn't make sense. This kind of underscores what I've thought for a while. All men are gay until proven straight. The touching of the asses is perfectly acceptable to these rugged, manly men. I'm just saying. Now, here's a rule or two. See what you think. Just proving my point. NFL, okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. A defender may use his hand or arms only to defend or protect himself against impending contact caused by a receiver. But if the defender contacts a receiver within the 5-yard zone and maintains contact with him, he must release the receiver as they exit the 5-yard zone. How do you know where the 5-yard zone is if you're brutalizing one another and running for your life? I mean, this makes absolutely zero sense. But then here's something else that makes even less sense. Yes, NFL players can wear contact lenses because it's a contact sport. And if it improves their vision before they're contacted, then that's a really good thing. Okay. I mean, this is a funny game, isn't it? So would you like to know what my rules are? Number 1, when a player says something bad about your wife, your hair, or your intelligence, this is a flagrant foul, and you can force him to listen to Bad Bunny and Kid Rock at the same time, man-to-man coverage. Or number 2, player goes down, stretcher comes out, takes him off the field, commercial break. In the tent, the arm is amputated. Player comes out with one arm to continue the game. Fortunately, it's not his punching arm. Commentator says, now that's dedication. Wife calls in and says, that's stupidity. And the MVP goes to the wife for using her common sense during this game. So we have a couple other interesting terms. We have the shotgun offensive formation and the nickel defense formation. But if we contemporize these terms, we can have a scenario like this. In the world of cryptocurrency and AI, we have the Bitcoin defense, no longer the nickel defense, against the shotgun offense. Remember, we do have Second Amendment rights here in the United States. So the quarterback in the wallet, no longer the pocket, has the team go into pickpocket coverage of anything moving. See, the times they are changing. Oh, and now the interviews, number 3. Okay, but here's what hasn't changed. The enunciation and speaking prowess of the quarterbacks and key players when they're interviewed after the game. Speech coaching might be an investment worth making. These players, who are, for the most part, college educated, speak a chopped sequence of sounds. No real words, just guttural mumblings, if I may enact. Yes, TJ, so how did you feel when you threw that long pass and unfortunately it wasn't caught? Well, but play, game, Here's what they're really saying. We were scared shitless. No one was playing well. I was cursing them out. Fuck them. And then there's Aaron Rodgers, most recent quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who speaks in a Zen meditative state at all times, even in his Netflix documentary. So soft, he's barely audible. So here's Aaron. Well, all the congratulations goes to my teammates, who I probably won't be seeing ever again because my contract will not be renewed. It was such a horrible season. Yes, so that's Aaron. Okay, going forward, here's how I plan to spend Sundays during the 26-27 football season. I'm going to go to the Four Seasons Sunday brunch. I'm going to take my terrible towels because, yes, I'm from Pittsburgh, and I'm going to use them as placemats. I'm going to ask that the Four Seasons turn the flat screen on to a Pittsburgh Steelers game if it's playing, which I will organize my Sunday brunches when they are playing. And we're all going to have a good old time because even though we have the most absurd game in the world being football, I have to watch every game. See you next season.